Good morning, everyone. This is Genavia,
And this is Jennifer.
and you are tuned in to Soap Talk, where candid conversations cleanse the mind, heal the heart, and encourage the spirit.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Soap Talk. And without further ado, let's jump into the interview.
Yeah.
Well, that was conviction for me because I tell my husband, you didn't look sincere when you apologized to me. So yeah, that's definitely food for thought. I'm sorry, sis.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something?
No. I was just thinking the same thing because I tease Jennifer all the time. I say I think we've married the same person. Like our husbands are eerily similar. And I think that's because Jennifer and I are eerily similar. Like we are the same couple. We're just in different, in matter of fact, our age brackets are around the same too. So,
Yeah.
we always tease about how we feel like we're both going through the same thing at the same time. And
Mhm.
but that's just God bringing us together and giving us some reassurance that there's somebody out there that's going through it with you and you need that support system. So we
Yeah.
support each other. When she's going through a trial, thank God I'm not going through the same one. So I'm able to encourage her and then vice versa. So
Amen.
it's been
Amen.
definitely a blessing. But yeah, I've been that way to say, I don't think that was sincere. But I also have caught myself in different situations where I do feel empathy for the person who is doing either me wrong or other people wrong, because I feel like there has to be something deeper than this. This
Mhm.
cannot be just what you're saying it
Hmm.
is. This has to be something, an insecurity. Maybe they had a bad day and they don't know how to communicate that. I mean, it doesn't give you the right to lash out, but some people are like that. So I've tried to, in some situations, I'm trying to still work on that, conform my mind and say, okay, what's the deeper problem? What's the root of this? Because if we peel back those layers and we get to the root of the problem, all that other stuff can melt away, and we can definitely get to the bottom of it and solve it. We can be like have a reconciliation, but that takes two people too.
Absolutely.
I can't be the one to be just, oh, let's talk about it, and the other person's like, I'm good, or I don't want to talk about it. So it does have to be reciprocated. So anyway, that's a whole nother.
Yes,
I like it.
reconciliation
I
versus
like it.
forgiveness. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I agree with you, sis. And I appreciate this conversation. Thank you.
Yes,
Amen.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for those responses. We're coming to the meat of it. We're right in the middle of the interview, so this is where it gets real good. But our next question is: does it make it easier to forgive someone when you consider that forgiveness is unconditional? Why or why not?
This is, I mean, I have to go to you all's question development meetings because these are very good and challenging and
Mhm.
necessary questions because, for me, and I think with different people, you may have different perspectives, but from my limited understanding of the word, I think it is easier to forgive because of the fact that it's not conditional, because forgiveness and obeying any of God's commands, I think it starts out as a function of the will before it's a function of the feel. I think you have
Yeah.
to have the will to do right before you feel like doing right.
Mhm.
You may wake up in the morning and not feel like going to work, but or getting those kids up and getting them moving, but your will says, let's go, let's get it going, let's move. And then as you do what is right, you feel the feeling may come later. And forgiveness, because it is so, I think it's so much better that it's unconditional, because I'm not waiting for you to do this or do that. And I tell it to the church, for an example, about me with my father. He left our family when I was young, and he would come and pick us up every now and then, and from about age 5 to age 10 years old, and then it just pretty much faded out to nothing. And he lived close by, and he had his own problems with some substance abuse and those kinds of things. So as a kid, I didn't understand all of those things. So I grow up, I go to college, I played football and all that. I was really trying to, in a major way, trying to get his attention. I was trying to get his attention. I didn't understand why. What did I do not to deserve attention? That's a child's mind and a teenager's mind. And obeying the gospel and becoming a Christian, God worked with me. And I tell people that some things you can get over in a minute. Some things it may take years. It just depends on the person. Not that that's right, but I was preaching and hadn't forgiven him. And I'm just being open and honest and being straight up. But over time, God kept pricking me and kept convicting me. And he got older, and I started preaching, and God was blessing me, and I had my family. And my daughter, who was a teenager at that time, she said, well, Dad, we always visit Mom's dad. Why don't we go and visit your dad? And I knew where he was, and I said, hey, I don't need him anymore in my mind. But when she said that, that convicted me. And I said, I've been wrong. I've been wrong. So on Father's Day, I was in Gainesville, Florida. I was going to preach in Miami, Florida. And he lived in Orlando. And I had to pass through Orlando to get home. So I preached Sunday morning in Miami. I had to pass by Orlando. And all the devil's like, it's Father's Day, you get to your family. Don't worry about him. That's his problem. That's his problem. He didn't do this. I'm talking about conditions, forgiveness being unconditional. He wasn't there. He didn't do this. But the word just kept pricking me. You need to reach out to him. He's your father, no matter what. Yeah. Forget about this and that. Stop by, take him out to lunch, let him know you love him. This might have been like 7 years ago, something like that. And I called him, and I'm hoping he doesn't answer. I'm just being honest with you all. I'm being honest, so I can keep driving and get home to my family.
Yep. Worry about
answered. He he was glad to hear from me. He answered, and to make a long story short, I picked him up, took him out. I saw he was living in a bad situation. I paid his rent. He needed medical help for diabetes. And I was a Medicaid supervisor for 12 years. Is God trying to do something here?
There you go. There you go.
And of course, I wanted him to be saved and obey the gospel. And I taught him, but he hasn't obeyed yet. But I did everything that I could do. And we're building a relationship right now. Amen. And we're much stronger now than we were. But it's because of God, and it's because of his word saying, stop with the conditions, stop talking about and thinking about what didn't happen, what didn't happen. And he finally admitted that, hey, I wanted to reconcile, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't forgive myself. And after a long time of helping him and doing for him, he apologized when I stopped looking for the apology. He apologized after I stopped looking for the apology and just said, I'm going to do right regardless of the condition. And then he went into it. So I just believe that forgiveness is better when we have to operate in God's will. You do it because your will says to do right before you feel like doing what is right. And Amen. God will take care of the rest.
Amen. Amen. I'm sorry, sis. Did you have something to say? I didn't want to cut you off. No. I have a follow-up. Question. We talked about Hosea in the beginning, and we talked about him going to retrieve his wife. And my assumption is that he's forgiven her and brought her back into the home by obeying God's command. Does forgiveness coincide with your feeling of hurt? So basically mean that when I forgive you, that automatically eliminates my pain that I feel, because I forgive people Well, I think I do in certain under certain circumstances. But I feel like I'm still painting. I'm still suffering from the consequences of that person's actions. So does that mean when I forgive you that I don't feel that pain and suffering anymore? That it just goes away at the same
Really
time?
important question. Really important question. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But forgiveness is not saying that the hurt goes away. The hurt is still there, and people have asked, can I forgive and forget, and those kind of things. And I tell them my story with my father that I remember very well. I remember, and I hurt a lot, but doing the right thing despite the hurt is the victory. It's the victory. And I think about one of my favorite Bible characters, and the married couples will tell you at Northside, Joseph in the book of Genesis, in Genesis chapter 45, he told his brothers, what you did to me, in Genesis 50, what you did to me, you meant for evil, but God meant it unto good. And when Joseph told his brothers to come to Egypt, bring your families, bring your children, I will feed you. That's significant because they didn't feed him. They threw him in a pit and didn't feed him. And he cried, he wept. He had to, different times, he ran off from them while he was in disguise and wept and cried. So the pain was there. The intensity of the pain was there, but he was, better than me. He was doing the right thing despite how he was feeling. I tell people, I would have been tempted, I'm the second ruler in Egypt. I might have eaten some food in front of them, hey, look at me. Remember what y'all did to me? Remember what you did to me? You're sorry. Look, so that's the the fleshly side. But Joseph overcame that, and he told his brothers, of course, as you know, he said, it's not about me or you. God has sent me here to preserve you a posterity. And Joseph said, one thing I have to do if I'm going to obey God, I have to help Judah, because guess what? The Messiah is going to come through Judah. So I used to say that God often sends blessings to those whom he can send blessings through. And if he can't send the blessing through you, he probably won't send the blessing to you. And that's so you have a powerful point and a question that we can hurt, and it's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay that the stages of forgiveness and healing and reconciliation, as you mentioned, forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. You stole my car and you drove it cross country, and now you're back and you done your time in jail and you got now. I'm not giving you my keys again. Now, hey, mama didn't raise no fool. But I can forgive you, but the relationship, I still have to love you, forgive you, but reconciliation is a different thing. So the pain and the hurt is a part of the process.
Thank you for that, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes, you are welcome. Thanks for the good question.
Yes. That concludes another episode of Soap Talk. We want to thank you for joining us today. Please join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. as we delve back into the topic. So thank you so much. God bless, and we love you. Bye.
Bye.